We just learned that Amitabh sir is learning to code using Claude, which is a message clear that it's never late to open that textbook, go on the internet, and learn to use AI. And whenever I've had conversations around AI, I get this befuddled expression from people, what is this guy talking about, especially when I'm talking about GPUs. But that's exactly why summits like these are important, to basically decrypt and understand how we can solve this puzzle that is in this technology. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Cyrus, and we have our lovely panelists. And the topic of discussion is the implementation of the AI mission, which I think is an important topic. Since we are a growing economy, we are adopting AI. The first thing that we would like to kick things off with, we have already started with the India AI mission. We are adopting the GPUs, we are getting all of the clusters, we are inviting the world over, as we can see in the summit. I want an understanding from our esteemed panelists. Where do you see if the India AI mission operates at its optimum level? In 5 years, how do you see it helping businesses and consumers as well? So if we can start with you, Nikhilesh. Yeah.
So I think India's AI mission should be India. And what I mean by that is we have 1.4 billion people with needs which have not been met in the industrial era. And we are going to leapfrog. India is going to leapfrog from many parts of India which are still in the pre-industrial era, are going to leapfrog into the what I call the infinity era, where everything will be infinite, including commodities and other services that people need, by solving societal problems using technology. Right? Let me give you a simple example. If you take healthcare or education, right? We are never going to have enough doctors and specialists to treat all 1.4 billion people at the quality that you and I get treatments, right? What will happen is AI will come into the picture, right? And that AI, the potential is that AI will be created by India. And when we do that at an Indian price point for the diversity that India has, those AI solutions will actually go and solve the world's problems.
Nikhila, you work closely with students, you've told me. How are they interacting or talking about this new transformation technology? Are they aware of it, or are they having conversations?
Totally.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Lovely to be here. So I'm a youth and media researcher, and a quick note on how I landed here at this panel. So I said, oh, Lalitesh is on the panel? Okay, I'll come there. But yeah, I've been kind of studying this for some time. And to your question, Cyrus, yes, we must listen closely to them. They have a lot to say. And one thing that I'd like to start off with is children and teenagers especially are very, very clear on the red lines for this technology. All we have to do is ask. They're very clear where those red lines should be. And I think it's important to listen into what they're saying.
So do you think there is apprehension among the younger audience who are using AI that they don't come forward and talk? Because most of the conversation about technology are being done by adults like us. So do you think kids should also come forward and talk about this more often?
Yeah, the broader commentary is generally dominated by adult voices who are speaking on behalf of the kids and like, oh, they're on their phones all the time, or they're addicted. No, there's something more going on, and it's important to take a different lens to look at this problem. I'm happy to talk about it in more detail, but I'll hand it over for now. Yeah.
So Rahul, please, your inputs, where do you see India next 5 years with the AI mission?
I will give a perspective from the business side. I think the reality of AI impacting businesses and consumers is actually today. It's already changes happening. I'll give some examples. And probably the trajectory will become much bigger in the next 5 years. So today we just launched some partnership with Replit. Replit enables the AI code to generate different apps by simply prompt engineering. Now, I already see a lot of new businesses developing in a much more democratized way because of this. So probably in next 5 years, it would mean we would have far more number of online businesses, a far more number of SMEs, a far number of AI-based small businesses coming into the ecosystem. I think that would be one big change I can see happening in India over the next 5 years from the business's perspective. I think the second important difference, a change I see, is also how the entire e-commerce will evolve or change. Already, few things that we are doing with Zepto or Swiggy, or a few months back we launched with Vodafone as well. More and more commerce is moving AI-based, where discovery is happening on AI, and now transactional commerce also happening on AI. And this trend is going to become significant, and I would not be surprised if in next 5 years, the online part of economy at least, if not more than 50% is driven by AI agents and not individuals, which means AI agents doing transactions themselves. And that's what actually we are seeing happening right now, and few launches you will see tomorrow as well, where we'll see more and more some of these apps having commerce through agents. The second part. Third change I'm seeing is, and I think some time back we're talking about the skills and also how organizations are evolving towards adopting the AI. I think when we talk about like a lot of funding going into the AI infra of the country scaling up, I don't think entrepreneurs are waiting for things to be perfect. Already a lot of processes, a lot of internal workflows have moved to AI. Like for example, for us, a lot of customer service, a lot of traditional things in terms of say document review, etc. have moved there. To an extent, actually, a part of our next year annual operating plans, 30-40% would be developed by AI. So I can see all those changes happening. And I think one constraint I see over here is as we move, you start using more and more AI, how do so again, the complexities around whether it would be, the closed models versus open source models, what's the kind of risk organizations see when they're not able to come out of this closed models, what are the kind of cost escalate, some of those things have to solve for. But I think the revolution is already begun, and what early shoots we're seeing, it will just be the adoption becoming, say, from 1%, 2% today to 80-90% in next 5 years.
Right. So I joined India Today back in 2022, and ever since then, I've seen some radical AI innovations happening at my organization to an extent that we have AI anchors. And ever since the day I started anchoring, it's sending a cold chill down my spine, whether I will be replaced one day. It's a hint, please don't do that. But I wanted to understand from you in terms of job perspectives, some of the top leaders, AI leaders in the world, like Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, even Jeffrey Hinton, he's the godfather of AI. They've said that white-collar jobs, tier 1 jobs will be gone in the next few years. So, in fact, a few months. What is your take on the impact on jobs considering this AI boom? If you can start again.
So, I agree with them.
Okay.
I think there will be a necessary disruption as humanity enters into the AI era. White-collar jobs will disappear at scale. I don't want to be here and give you sugarcoat.
But how soon? How soon do you think?
I think that depends on us, okay. Right? The potential is there, right? Within 5 years, I think we will have the algorithms and systems where the existing white-collar jobs that we have for the work we are doing today, right, roughly 90% can go away.
Wow.
Okay. But remember that the white-collar jobs that are there today are only serving 1.5 billion people. Most of humanity is not served. So if you extrapolate and say, what if we actually start serving all of humanity the way we serve each other today, then I think jobs will come back up. Right. And the other thing I want to consider, and I want the audience and their, maybe we all have children, so I worry about them, is to train them that, don't think about a job as something that somebody gives you, right? A job is something that you create for yourself. Right. And I also subscribe to the theory, it's not theory, there's a modeling, that we are imminently, within 15 years, I don't know about 5 years, within 15 years we'll be in the era of plenty.
Right.
Right? Money will be plentiful. So people work, a lot of people work because they need that money to make their ends meet.
Right.
I think that era is ending. So what will people do when they don't have to?
That's true.
That is the question.
Nikhila, it's an pertinent question that he has also raised. Also, an important point. The younger generation is going to come into work, and they're going to be facing AI as a challenge. So what do you think in terms of curriculum? Are we really having that conversation? Do we need to have more AI courses being embedded into the curriculum right now?
More AI courses, you
yeah.
said? Actually, in my classrooms, we've gone the other way, which is I get them to have discussions like this and do stand-ups. So I often tell them when you go into the workplace, your boss is not going to ask you to write an essay. But you will have to sit in a room or stand up in a room with some colleagues and push your idea to the top, right? Among other ideas. So get used to standing up and speaking for an idea whose time has come. So we do that. But I'm going to just riff off of what Lalitesh said about the word job. So he talked about jobs and how you can think about it. We can also think about jobs as the jobs to be done that arise in our everyday lives. This is not my idea, it's Clayton Christensen's from the theory of disruptive innovation, but I think it's ripe for purpose right now. There are problems that arise in everyone's lives every day, right, that need solving. Right now, India's AI mission, from what I've understood, is trying to solve for that last 500 million, right, who are kind of off the grid still, and they're trying to solve with models which can kind of deliver through voice, if I've understood this correct. Lalitesh is the expert on this. So, you know, there are problems that arise in our day-to-day lives that still need solving. And those jobs will be the place where those new businesses begin, right? For that, we have to absolutely be out there and try and figure out which of those problems are big enough that a business can scale around it. That's one. Second point, Lalitesh here is a good example. He came back from the US, he did all his stuff, and then he's working here in Bangalore. So he has a skill set, and then COVID happened. It took Lalitesh and his team to create Arogya Setu. So that's a good example. Like, you have the circumstance, you have the skills. Right. There are things that happen around you, and then you rise to it. But you need those skill sets, and you need that circumstance to happen to give us a vision of what those new jobs can be. What are those new businesses? What are those new applications that can be built for society?
Right. It's important to understand from a business perspective as well, since you employ a lot of people on almost a daily basis. So what is your take?
Yeah, Cyrus, I heard a very interesting comment yesterday from someone. Either you do AI or AI will get you done. So I think I found this statement quite powerful. So the way I'm seeing it in business, like a lot of jobs actually have already gone. Let me first acknowledge that, like almost, and I see across industry, a lot of customer support, a lot of customer service, which used to be human-led, now has become a lot of AI-led. In fact, you must have seen even examples of a lot of sales calls that are coming to all of you on phone.
Customer service as well.
Yeah, and those are kind of more AI generated and not individuals, right? So let's first accept the reality. A lot of jobs have already gone. I think the second important aspect that I'm seeing is also a lot of impact happening on the entry-level roles. Because today the way AI is working, for even a lot of jobs which require thinking, AI can do an apprentice level work for you. So typically the entry level roles that you have to hire for, I think a lot of those are gone. Like for example, today if I want a chief of staff, almost 80% of work for me I can build few apps through Seiko Works or Anthropic, which can help to get it done for me. So I think even those jobs are gone. I think what's really happening is now individuals have to upskill themselves, or rather I would say reskill themselves, where they're able to leverage AI to make their jobs more and more effective. So that's the reality of it. And I think for a lot of people, when I say who are AI native, in fact, a lot of people who are coming now new in the work stream are able to adapt very quickly to it. People, for example, who used to do, say, overall market mapping, now they are using the AI to do this say 3x, 4x faster and make them themselves a lot more relevant versus people who have been doing it for last 10, 15 years and finding it a little difficult to adapt.
Right.
So some of those changes happening. But I think the way it's going to go, almost all the jobs will have to upskill themselves, reskill themselves, especially most of thinking roles.
And that responsibility falls upon the companies to do it, not just
that responsibility falls on the companies as well to make sure that they provide the right environment for people to run, and responsibility falls on the individuals as well. Like whatever stage of the career those are, whether they're CEOs, whether they are CEOs, whether they are the managers, whether they're front level employees, they will have to, I think in the earlier discussion, I think Amitabh was saying, right? Like at any age, you have to figure it out how to leverage AI. I think that becomes extremely important.
That's an important thing. You should never be running away from this technology. It's always beneficial to keep upskilling. Not just talking about, everybody is having this conversation about a sovereign AI. We need to develop AI in India. But I want to understand this perspective. The chat GPTs and the Geminis of the world are already accessible. They're easy to use. Why is there an importance for India to develop a sovereign AI? And do you think, even after we develop it and make it good, we heard the achievements of Sarvam, it went on to beat ChatGPT and Gemini in some of the foundational Indic AI models. So even if the India models are good enough, do you think people will migrate, considering that the GPTs and the Geminis are already having such a massive scale in India and the user base?
Yeah, I don't know if people will migrate or not.
Would you?
I do. But to answer the first part of your question, we must absolutely
Build our own.
build and own and have our own sovereign AI, because two reasons. One is the AI models built in Silicon Valley are built from a Silicon Valley perspective.
Absolutely, yeah.
They guess what the rest of the world needs. They don't know what the world needs, right? So they will never solve the edge cases that for us are not edge cases.
But don't you think Silicon Valley companies are smart enough to understand what Indians need and then develop?
Even today, my own product, Google Maps, right, does not do very well when the roads are unstructured.
Okay.
Right? And that's because it will never be on the radar of Silicon Valley. So until we have our own, we will not solve the problems that all of India needs solved. That is number one. The number two is the concentration of value. This is the picture that's often missed, which is advanced technology, especially AI, and this began in the Microsoft world, is a value concentrator. In the olden days, in the industrial era, when you built a car, and you were manufacturing cars in India, the local auto parts and so on would insulate industry, and it was lifting the entire tide, right? But if you look at electric cars today, most of the value of the electric car is the battery, the motors, and the transmissions, which the car company builds. The auto ancillary guys have nothing to do, right? So in the AI era, corporations will have value concentration. The values will concentrate to the point where you will have nation-state size corporations. India needs to have few of them, because they will generate the revenues and the value that the society will need, because in a mostly a job-free world, right, the state has a significant role to play in taking care of society.
Right.
What used to be called socialist will now become the norm,
Right.
to the point where the most radical right guy out there, Elon Musk, a month back said that 30% of every corporation's share should be owned by the state.
Right.
Because there is no way for the state to provide the services it needs to any other way.
Right.
So in that era, if we don't own our own AI and our own singularity corporations, as I call them, right, we will have trouble on the economic front.
Nikhila, we've understood that you also support this. However, if I were to put it across to you, how would you want to drive this if you want to adopt a sovereign AI?
Can I assume you didn't ask me that question and
Please,
just
please,
pick
you
up?
can. Sure, absolutely.
I'll come to this from a slightly more non-technical place. I was in the room yesterday in L2 auditorium in Bharat Mandapam when they unveiled the Bharat Gen models. So, such a proud moment, really. I had goosebumps. The entire team was out there, and I was in the front row, and I was watching all the models and the back end, and they were explaining how this voice interface works. And I was like, wow, what a moment to be an Indian.
Right.
Seriously. And if I've been in media, so like I used to work as a news reporter, so if I was making a package out of this, I know what soundtrack I would play in the back.
Right.
Seriously, that's one reason. Second, you need to have the kill switch. Kill switch cannot be outside.
Absolutely important. Yeah. So we would just like switch the course here and try to understand. So a couple of weeks ago, I read a news and it's gone global.
Before this, sorry,
Yeah.
I had a point of disagreement with Lalitesh.
Oh, please,
can I
please,
express
yeah.
that? Yeah. So I think, Lalitesh, I don't think there are the global models out there would not be able to understand the Indian context. I think the models are smart enough. If enough data is fed on Indian context, I think they do learn, and that's what we have seen as well. So the problem is not that these models would not be able to learn, because if a lot of data, 80% data is fed from India, they would learn. But still, I do agree to a point that we need to have a sovereign model for the reasons that Lalitesh and Nikhila mentioned. And from business perspective, definitely see today we are using all these models which are closed systems. It becomes a very big, eventually become a business contributor risk for businesses, right? Like for example, you would almost locked in, you would not be able to move the context, all these models with whom you have built over for last 3-4 years to a new system, and that becomes a big risk. And therefore, we do need to build some of our own sovereign models where we have more control, we have more authority to kind of move around those things. And I think the answer to that, how India builds it, is also probably lies somewhere. While we don't have strong models right now, there are a lot of those open source models on which probably still India can build and make a very strong one. The second big risk we see also, a lot of these models, global models, are very closely tied to the hardware of a certain big company, right? And the cost that kind of really keeps getting escalated. Now, of course, there are innovations happening where the new kind of GPUs, which will be cheaper, the software that works on that, which will be lighter, and therefore the models that work on that would be cheaper. So I think from that perspective, having that flexibility, I think extremely important. Yeah. But all I'm saying for a different reason, because as country and in business, you can't get locked into a certain kind of model where you're kind of almost put a gun to your head.
It should be about autonomy.
Sorry, so just wanted to express.
Absolutely.
Express those thoughts,
Another question, important one, that since you're so close to the payments ecosystem, a couple of weeks ago, I read an article where an AI agent had paid a human being to go stand outside a mall and hold a sign out. He had paid the person in crypto, and this process entirely happened. Since you're so close to payments, I want to understand, is crypto going to come back because of AI agents, because of the nature of payments that it initiates, and also what happens to regular payment systems in the world of AI agents?
Yeah. So I don't think crypto will necessarily come back. I'll give a view of how I see in future payments are going to happen. And a part of it's already happening, like where, say, the AI agents are doing certain e-commerce transactions, and the individuals need to, or humans need to delegate certain authority to agents in terms of doing payments on their behalf. As of now, UPI, I think that's where I think we have done really great job, where UPI is a far stronger payment mode compared to any other payment mode across the world, where authority can be delegated without sharing the credentials. The agent can do transactions. I think that's first of all, that's such a great thing that's happening. Now, fundamentally, when AI agents do financial transactions, 3 or 4 things are extremely important. One is there should be a delegation possible. There should be a limit bound. There should be a real-time transparency for the risk management. There has to be auditability. And I think something which Nikhila just mentioned, there should be a kind of a kill switch. If something is going wrong, you should be able to kill it kind of right then and there. So these are 3 or 4 key frameworks required for having a new financial currency which adheres to to it. UPI, I think, is a great starting point, but I see probably in next 3 to 4 years, like a lot of things right now, AI will change. I think the currency might also go very, very digital. I don't know what answer would be. It would be the Indian sovereign digital currency is the answer, or something else, but it will go to primarily the digital first currencies and not traditional currencies which are being modified for digital use cases.
So those banknotes may not have a very good future, if it might be, right? All right, just trying to understand, we are developing AI at an astronomical pace right now. However, we are not looking at regulation at the same importance. Do you think this is a concern? We need to have conversation about regulating AI as well, considering how quickly it's developed?
I don't think we should just be having a conversation about regulation, but regulation, safety, security of people needs to be in the front, and the algorithms in many ways need to be second.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Who should start this process? I mean, the government should, or the private enterprises?
It has to be the government.
Okay.
Led by the people, but we are a people's government, but it has to be the government with a wide consultation. Okay. I'll give you a simple example. The guy who invented the field of robotics is actually not a scientist, he's an author, Isaac Asimov, right? Right. One of the, I mean, his literature created the field of robotics and imagination.
Right. And also instilled a lot of fear in humans about what robotics can do to us.
Yeah, and geeks like this turned it into a field. You know, I'm a roboticist by training. He wrote, when he imagined what a robotic world will, an AI-powered world will look like, that you have to have the fundamental kill switch he created were 3 laws of robotics, right? And when you look very closely at those 3 laws, they're actually necessary and complete. And we have to, if I had a magic wand, right, I would institute those 3 laws and say that, look, every AI you build, to the extent that the AI understands, right, must follow those 3 laws without exception, right?
Those 3 laws were in the movie I, Robot, and still the robots tried to take over
I read them
humanity.
when they were books, right? I used to go to, you know, Cherney Road and buy used books in the olden days when I was a kid. But let me actually say the 3 laws, because not everybody in the audience has read Asimov. The robot shall never, through its action or inaction, let a human being come to harm. Law number 1. Law number 2, a robot will always follow the directions of a human unless it counters the first law. Right? That single statement takes out any robotic system that you would use in war where humans are not in control. Right? The 3rd law is the robot shall not allow itself to come to harm unless the 1st and 2nd law are violated. And that's actually a necessary and complete. And inside every AI model that we create. So I think Nikhila is right. I think in many ways that a failing of modern society is that we don't give kids a voice. Right? If you take 10-year-olds and 13-year-olds and put them on this podium and ask them to draft a law, they'll do a better job.
So if you're wanting to take the first step now, today, where do you think we should start?
So 2 minutes, I'll do a soundbite style story. So quick story. On May 16th, 2024, just about 6 months after ChatGPT launched, Sam Altman, who we'll see tomorrow, was testifying in Congress in the US. And this senator who was leading the whole session said, you know, we made a mistake with social media. We should not repeat that with AI. And I was sitting there, I was watching the entire session, sitting there and thinking, we need a better vocabulary for this stuff. And then I came up with this term called the ambient AI media environment, because essentially it's predictive AI that is threading itself through pretty much all of the media that we use. So until we have a wholesale new vocabulary that we can talk in, regulators are going to be far behind this technology.
Correct.
But I think India is doing a great job with the Grok thing in January. Yeah.
Taking that forward, Rahul, if you have any inputs on that.
Yeah, sure. First of all, completely agree. Like, you know, the regulation and governance around has to be more principle-based rather than prescription-based. I think the challenge would come in execution a lot. And I think, you know, a quick summary, at least the way I think about it, for the execution, we will need the pace at which the AI is evolving, it will be extremely difficult for the government or regulators to keep pace. And the only way to solve for it is to have a real-time sandbox environment where there are certain kind of governance frameworks put in place. Any new AI evolution happening in any new AI use cases coming, they have to go through a sandbox environment and very fast kind of it's a go, no go and get executed. I think that's one thing. Second, I also quite frankly have a lot of faith and confidence that India would be able to do it really well. In fact, a lot of great the innovation we see is actually regulatory innovation in India, whether it's UPI, whether digital KYC, and probably given the mindset of the regulator, I really think it is one place where India has a chance to take a lead. While we are a little bit late in terms of leading the AI tech revolution, AI governance and regulation innovation is something which we can really lead the way we have led for, say, UPI or fintech world.
Correct. Okay. That's unfortunately all the time we have, but thank you so much for these insights. I definitely enjoyed it. Hopefully you can take something back home. Thank you again.